Welcome to another installment of Tough Guys. Tonight's subject, one of my favorite people in racing, Bentley Warren. I know, he sounds like a politician, a stockbroker, Bentley Warren. Trust me, the salt of the earth, one hell of a race driver, and if you're around in the 60s and 70s, you remember this guy. He came out of Oswego, New York, home of the super modifieds. He's a 6-time Oswego champion, but in 1970, he really didn't have any aspirations. He was happy winning races in Oswego, but he gets a call from Tassi Vatis and Bill Finley to come drive their IndyCar in 1970 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Well, they had a lot of problems, didn't make the race, but right after that, they went to Langhorne, ran 6th at Langhorne, started 9th. That's when it was paved. The next weekend, a couple weekends later, they go to Milwaukee and run 4th. So people are like, who is this guy? In 1971, they come to the Speedway. But before they go to the Speedway, they got to go to Argentina. First race ever in Argentina. Bentley's had 5, maybe 6 races under his belt by this time. He's trying to pass Lloyd Ruby for 3rd place. A guy blows up in front of him. He crashes, car catches fire. He gets 3rd-degree burns on his arms and his hands. Now there's a USAC charter plane. They're all going back the next day. All the drivers, all the crews, and all the big shots in USAC, who are sitting in first class when Bentley gets on the plane the next day with his arms totally encased in bandages like this because he can't move them. And do you think any of those guys would have given one of their warriors, Bentley Warren, their seat in first class? No, they just drank their coffee and read their paper, and he got to sit in the middle seat all the way back to Indianapolis. Great job, boys. That shows you how tough the guy was. Because a few weeks later, 6-7 weeks later, he's ready for the Indy 500, even though he's hurting. He qualifies 15th for his first Indianapolis 500, and is having a pretty good race, and the thing breaks. So as the summer progresses, he goes to Toledo, Ohio, a fast half-mile pavement track for sprint cars, and Bentley was a hell of a sprint car driver. Now, he was used to modifieds, but he did a good job in dirt cars, he did a good job in sprint cars. There's a crash in front of him, he swerves to miss hitting the guy, instead of T-boning this guy, drives into the infield, hits a tire full of concrete, breaks both legs, both feet. They're talking about amputating his right foot. He never loses consciousness, so he hears him, he's like, get me another doctor, you're not taking my right foot off. So they save his right foot. He's in the hospital for 3 months. And basically what this did was, just as people are starting to talk about this guy, like Bill Finley was a little operation, probably one of the great all-time chief mechanics in Indianapolis. He built his Indy cars in his garage behind his house, but he didn't have a lot of money. So they didn't never have the Penske money or A.J. Foyt or Jim Hall, people like that. So they made do with, Bill made do with a lot less budget than most people did, and Bentley's raising a lot of eyebrows because he's running so good in this car. So he's out for 3 months. He misses the whole rest of the 71 season. So there's nowhere for him to run in 72. So he has his own team. I think it was called, I think it was Bayside Racing, and they come to the Speedway in 1972 with a 1968 Eagle, a 4-year-old car. Not that bad, except in 1972, that's when the McLaren showed up, and Dan Gurney's new Eagle showed up. Bobby Unser broke the track record by almost 18 miles an hour. They slapped some wings on Bentley's old 68 Eagle. He had no chance. Same thing in 73. So in 1974, that's when I really got to hook up with him, because I'm working for Bill Finley. That's why I'm wearing this shirt. This was the Parajax Flyer shirt in 1974, and Bentley was he started out as a driver that month. And Bill had copied Dan Gurney's Eagle, just eyeballed it, and built it in his shop that winter. And they just Bentley, he got going pretty good, but not really going really fast enough. So he didn't so they had a mutual, okay, I'm going to step out and try somebody else's car. So Bentley jumps into Tom Snead's backup car for Grant King. They put Johnny Parsons in the Fleagle. He makes the Indy 500, his first Indy 500 start. Bentley gets stuck in the qualifying line. There's only 2 days of qualifying because of the energy crisis. So he doesn't, even though he's going fast enough to make the race, he loses out and doesn't get to run in 1974. 1975 he comes back, makes the race for Grant King, his second start. And the great thing about Bentley was he adapted to anything. He drove dirt cars pretty good, and people were like, this guy was a pavement specialist. But he did a nice job at Springfield and DuQuoin and the fairgrounds, and he was very, very versatile. Drove midgets, drove some stock cars. So here he is from 1970 to 1975. That's basically his career. His last race was at Pocono. I think he drove for Lindsey Hopkins, and basically went back to super modifieds. Now think about this. Here's how tough this guy was. He was 57 years old when he won the Little 500 at Anderson. He won the Copper World Classic in his 50s at Phoenix. He won his first race in Oswego in 1966, his last race in Oswego in 2006. So this guy's career was encompassed so many years, and he was so ageless. But the thing about Bentley, he was such a great guy. What a wonderful sense of humor. Great practical joker. We were in Texas one night, and he figured out if you turn the ignition on and off in our rental car, he could make it backfire and sound like a gun. So he, of course, harasses a couple people at the stoplight. They call the police. They roadblock us. We get out, have to put our hands on the top of the car, and Bentley says his machine guns and his ammo are in the trunk. Well, obviously that didn't go over too well. So I'm like, oh my God, we're going to jail. So then they start talking, and Bentley says, why don't you guys come to the racetrack tomorrow, I'll get you some tickets. So they come to the race, and Bentley smooths it out. And that was the weekend when we had to change an engine out in the bean field. And here's Bentley and Bill Finley and me, handing them tools, changing an engine out in the middle of 95-degree weather in Texas. And it didn't matter what it was. Start the car, go get the tow truck, it doesn't matter. Bentley did anything you want him to do. But he was just one of those guys that you instantly liked, because he was always laughing, and no matter what happened, he just had such a positive attitude. And I think had he gotten a break, you'd have heard a lot. Bentley Warren wouldn't just be a footnote, a two-time Indy 500 starter. If he'd have gotten a break and not broken his feet and his legs and got hurt so bad in 1971, I think he'd had a 10 or 15-year career, and he'd have won some races because he was that good. And if you want to read his story, my buddy Bones Bossier wrote a book a couple years ago called Wicked Fast. Coastal181.com is where you can get it. All the Bentley Warren stories are in here. He's got a bar up in Maine. Last time I saw him was at Watkins Glen. He rode on a chopper with a 35-year-old doll baby on his back. He has a bandana around and his big smile. It's like the ageless wonder has just arrived again. So hope we'll see him this May. Thanks for watching RACER.com and the Tough Guy series. Talk to you soon.